will say that over the past 4 or 5 days, I feel like I've been dealing with trolls on Twitter based off of opinions of Bryce Young or whatnot. And it's funny. I won't go into exactly what all it is or whatever. It's basically the typical you're being a Bryce hater, yada yada yada. And I get sucked into it. And it's funny. It reminds me of the words of a friend of both of ours, Josh Graham, when we were doing the drive together a couple of years ago, and I was producing for him. I was on Facebook a lot, like just getting into little debates and stuff in sports groups or whatever. And he pulled me aside one day and he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, just going back and forth with folks, just kind of gauging where they are. And he was basically like, you don't have to do that. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you don't have to really do that. You're in a position now where you don't have to necessarily interact with trolls on a daily basis on social media, because you have a platform where you can do it here and it goes across the whole triad. And it was the first time I'd ever got it phrased to me that way. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Like, I'm wasting time, like going back and forth with trolls or whatever on Twitter about this and that or whatever. And that conversation popped in my head over the weekend as I was going back and forth with this troll on Twitter about Bryce Young. Bryce Young went 15 for 25 for 126 yards and a touchdown. And my thought was, did he play well enough for them to win the game? Yes, he did. He's been playing better than he did the first 2 weeks of the season, right? But that's a very low bar for him to be playing higher than. And for me, I'm like, this is the same fan base that gave Cam Newton a lot of junk for how he dressed, or sometimes he might have had a bad game. But we never questioned whether or not he was the guy. Like, he came out 400 yards passing first couple of games of his rookie. Like, we knew, like, from first quarter, oh, this guy's different. We haven't had that from Bryce Young, right? Am I tripping? Like, we haven't had that moment yet. And I'm just kind of trying to keep his feet to the fire. He's the #1 overall pick overall. Like, why are we babying him?
Yeah, your skepticism is justified, and there's certainly nothing wrong with a fair-minded debate. I mean, a long time ago, even before Facebook and social media, I decided as a guy who with growing platforms, even back in the 1990s, that not everybody is worth responding to. In my legal career, there's a term, Des, called good faith, and bad faith is another legal term.
Yeah.
And what it essentially means is that a good faith debate is between two people who are trying to learn and trying to respect the other. You can call out somebody for being inaccurate or unfair, but you're starting from a point of just trying to understand the other side better. A bad faith person doesn't care about any of that. And they're just lazy. They're often ignorant, and they're cheap shot artists. Yeah. So a long time ago, I decided I wasn't wasting my time on cheap shot artists. I took some flack for that stance, but I don't care. You got to earn the right for me to care about somebody else's opinion. And that's a whole lot of American sports fans fall way, way short of what I call that good faith standard. And I don't lose 1 minute of sleep over it.
I guess I should take it as a compliment that they're coming at me for it, but I totally agree with you. And that's something that I kind of lost my compass on, in terms of, like, because you get sucked into it after a while. Someone says something and it just rubs you wrong. You're like, what? That's not what I meant. And you just kind of go back and forth with it. And all of it has to do with Bryce.